Ready? All right. Hey there, Tutu fam. My name is John Lorenzo, owner at Tutu Creative, and this is Startup Stories, where we interview our Tutu clients to tell their startup stories and hopefully inspire you all to also go and take the plunge, bet on yourselves, and create your own startup. Today, we have my very good friend, Mr. JP Lutz, the owner of Bucks County Baseball Co. JP, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having us. I really enjoy the series you guys are doing, and so we really appreciate you including us in this episode.
Of course, brother. JP, before we get started, can you tell everybody how to connect with you?
Sure. You can connect with me right from our website, buckscountybaseballco.com. You can always email me at jplutz@buckscountybaseballco.com or find me on any social media platform.
Yeah, definitely follow their social medias because they've got some limited releases that they put on their social media. So make sure you can capture those. They're limited stock, and you definitely want to see what JP and Bucks County Baseball Co. has available in their online shop. But we'll put all of those details in the comments. Let's get this show on the road. JP, I'm super interested to hear what your startup story is because I'm not sure if we ever really got to talk about it in person. So do you want to give us your version of your startup story?
Yeah, so Bucks County Baseball Company is we specialize in vintage sports clothing and collectibles. We have an online store, and then we also have a full retail store in my hometown of Bristol Borough, Pennsylvania. Started the business right around 2012. We just celebrated a few weeks ago our 8th anniversary of our retail location. So it started in its inception, started as a truly just an online business, which then expanded now, like I said, into a full retail store. In terms of my story is probably a little unique, but also common to the other entrepreneurs that you've had on this series. So I worked in professional sports for 13 years. When I left the sports industry, I started doing adjunct teaching. So I taught at small and big universities in the area. And if anybody's ever taught as an adjunct, it's pretty much part-time work that doesn't pay a lot of money. And so, they say necessity is the mother of invention. And so I needed to keep the lights on in the house. And I was at that point in my career where I was shifting from one industry to another. Even though they were both sports related, I was really transitioning into the teaching, which I immediately knew was my next path. The problem I was having was I was at that point of starting a new career and saying to myself that same adage that any young adult or recent college graduate's at is saying, well, how do I get hired if I don't have experience? And how do I get experience if I don't get hired? So I really was teaching any school that I could. I was teaching. But it wasn't enough. And so what happened was I am a big concert goer, and I started noticing some fashion trends. I was going to summer festivals, and I'm seeing what I call kids, but young adults, 20-year-old young adults, wearing jerseys that I had when I was a teenager and in my 20s. So these old champion NBA jerseys.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, this is interesting. This is now a trend. And I have these. I had a collection of them that I kept all these years. And so I started selling them online.
Nice.
And then so I started selling them online, and then I had to go out and find more. And so my dad, who is retired, is sort of what I always call my American picker. He's my guy going out on the road. And I said, Dad, I just sold a lot of these old vintage jerseys. He goes, I'll go find more. Now, him saying that was great because he went out and did a lot of the legwork in the beginning of this business to go out and find these vintage items that are very unique. It's almost like it's almost antique hunting.
Yeah.
But the funny part is that he really didn't know what he was buying. So he was just buying anything he could find. And so then I just started putting those things online.
Uh-huh.
And then it sort of ballooned from uh, starting a website, doing it out of my home, and shipping items on my kitchen table, storing bins of jerseys in my basement, and then quickly then realized that I needed to expand, and we had an opportunity for a full retail store in my hometown in Bristol. And
Yeah.
uh, it's, like I said, 8 years later now, we've now really created something special that's a unique store. It's different than any traditional sporting goods store. It's different than the other other vintage clothing stores that you find. We really use our store as a vehicle to celebrate Philadelphia sports history. And
Yeah.
so it's more like a museum. When you come in, there is items that are not for sale. They're just part of our collection.
Yeah.
I like to say my dad and I have sort of the ultimate man cave that we just happen to run a business out of.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's all about creating the experience, right? You got to create that experience for customers to fall in love with and see how passionate you are about this. Like this started out of necessity, but honestly, it's been something that you and your dad have been doing for as long as you can remember, right? Collecting vintage gear and being huge fans of Philadelphia sports, not just Philadelphia sports. You were out in Chicago recently
Yeah,
checking out a Cubs game and going to some more concerts, right?
yeah, yeah.
Like this
So,
is this is ingrained in your DNA, and you found a way to make some money out of your passion.
well, so people say, I don't understand your name, Bucks County
Yeah,
Baseball Company. Why is that your name when you sell all sports so it's sort of a deceiving name, but it comes back from the history of what you just said.
yeah,
So I grew up, growing up as early as I can remember. My dad used to run baseball card shows in the 80s and 90s. And so he would have current Phillies players, current athletes come in for autograph signings. And so I
yeah.
kind of grew up in that industry. He opened up a small baseball card store in the 90s. So my first job, I was 12 years old running a full baseball card store. And,
Cool.
and, and I didn't get paid in money. I got paid in packs of cards.
Oh,
And
no way.
yeah, so I did that. I did that from like literally from when I was 12 years old to a year before I was getting ready to go to college. And I said, Dad, I got to earn some real money here. I'm going to school and I need to buy a computer, and I've got,
Yeah.
and so the name of that business was Bucks County Baseball Cards. And so my dad started that
Oh,
30 years ago.
yeah.
When we moved and started to open up our current location. My dad's like, what are we going to call it? And I said, well, we're going to come up with a name that represents our brand. And he goes, it's Bucks County
Yeah.
Baseball Cards. It's always been. And I said, Dad, we don't sell cards. And he goes, it's our family name. And so, you know what, look, I learned a long time ago, you don't argue with, Italian father. And so that's the name. It's kind of funny because it is a little, when you first hear it, you're like, what is this company? But as we've sort of built equity in the community, it's made us stand out a little bit. And so
Yeah.
I actually, at first I didn't like the name, and now I sort of embraced it, and I think it's really become part of our identity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of your story. It's part of the history of where you are. You wouldn't be here, I don't think, if it wasn't for your dad and that baseball card shop, you know?
Oh, no, no, I wouldn't. No, absolutely. I wouldn't have a love for sports. I never would have worked in sports had it not been for my dad. And I certainly wouldn't have started my own sports business had it not been for him and his influence. And really, to be quite honest with you, his involvement is invaluable to our business. And
Oh, absolutely.
and he does it. He's always sort of tells me all the time. He goes, I retired and now get another full-time job. And I go, well, but he does it because he likes it. He calls it the hunt. He likes being out. He truly is like, if you've ever seen that show, American Pickers,
Yeah, I love that show.
he's out every day going to yard sales, auctions, thrift store. He's going every day and trying to find these unique items
Yeah.
that we can then offer to
And it's not just vintage gear, right? It's also vintage. It's vintage apparel. It's vintage collectibles. It's not just apparel, right?
well, and that's a great point. So it started as really as for me started as just the clothing and the
Hmm.
trend, the fashion trend, and I really because I enjoyed it. It's something I did as personally, and I have my own personal collection. But I think one of the interesting parts, and probably what you'll hear from a lot of entrepreneurs, is that when you start a business, you have an idea of the products and services you're going to offer,
Yeah.
but really you don't know until you listen to your customers.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
what we found was there was a need in the marketplace for collectibles. We have an incredible selection of bobbleheads, which again, a bobblehead is kind of everybody's got one or two of them on their desk, right?
Yeah.
But there is a community of people here in Philadelphia that collect every bobblehead from
Wow.
every
That's so
Philadelphia
cool.
team. And so we then quickly realized that we need to be able to provide this because there really wasn't another outlet that had that kind of selection.
Yeah.
And now we've built programming around it. We've built events around bobbleheads, and we continue to expand those sort of, like you said earlier, those experiences that you can have at Bucks County Baseball Company that you can't have anywhere else.
Absolutely. So the retail store has been around for 8 years, but remind me again, how long has Bucks County Baseball been around?
Um, the online business, I
I
started.
guess like maybe even take it all the way back to your dad, because
Well,
you could almost say that you're the second generation. This is Bucks
it's
County Baseball version 2.0.
this is very much 2.0, and that's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. 1.0, the original, started again in the 80s. So
Wow.
early 1980s. Again, I was a small kid helping out with card shows, traveling all over the country to go to different card shows, and had autograph signings. In Bucks County, my dad ran them, and so yeah, I kind of grew up in that business side of it, and
Yeah.
and then version 2.0 again started right around 2012 as a online business with a website, and then all of a sudden again it moved into then a full retail store.
So for a business that's been around for 20 years, what would you say your superpower is?
Well, I think our superpower, if you think of a superpower for the business,
Hmm.
is our ability to
Yeah.
pivot quickly, right? So I'll give you an example. So when I started this current business, I did not want to focus in on baseball cards. But if you've been following anything over the last year, especially during COVID, cards are now on an upward trend.
Yeah, it's almost come full circle.
It's come full circle. It's very niche. It's all graded cards. Their cards are now looked at as an alternative investment, right?
Hmm.
So a hedge fund or finance guy could invest in the stock market, or he's going to buy a Michael Jordan rookie card. So we did not want to get into cards again because it was an industry that was a completely depreciated asset. But
Yeah.
now, because they're rebounding, we've gotten back involved in that.
Yeah.
So we offer some cards and some unopened packs in our store because that's what kids and adults are coming in and asking for. And we're starting to do more on bigger auctions with bigger items. And so yeah, I think if you think of a superpower, and I think probably even one of the reasons I love sort of being an entrepreneur is that I can have control over the business, and I can know how to pivot and
Yeah.
change directions where I need to,
Yeah.
based on really the needs of the market and based on the needs of my customers.
Absolutely. That's great. That's a really strong superpower. Even especially during COVID, we've seen that if you're unable to pivot during COVID, especially when COVID first hit last March, if you weren't able to pivot or adapt quickly to the changing economy, a lot of those businesses did not survive. So being self-aware and understanding what the needs of the market are at all times, that's an incredible superpower. One of the things that also has been coming to my mind is that, you know, I think your business has been able to succeed for 20 plus years because sports is so personal to people. There's so many of those moments that you share with friends, family, your father, and those memorabilia, those collectibles, they're your memories essentially. And I think that's what your life ultimately comes back to, is the sum of the memories and the moments that you shared during your life. And seeing that, hey, what are the different ways that I can help bring back some good memories for kids or family or your clients. I think that is one of the reasons why you've been able to pivot so quickly, is you guys understand that these are moments, these are memories.
Yeah, it's we live in a digital world, right?
Hmm.
Everything's digital now, right? We're all, we're living in this world where we're conducting this interview virtually, right? Everything's through social media and digital media. So there are very few things that are tangible, sort of collectibles.
Yeah.
And so sports, can provide that, whether it, again, be a, you know, I can't tell you how many times that I have somebody come in and say, that's a jacket my dad wore at an Eagles game at the vet. Now
Yeah.
I'm going to wear it now because it's got sentimental value.
Yeah.
Or that's a, an autographed item or something that has that sort of tangible value that can bring that, like you said, those
That
connections
emotion.
between
Yeah.
friends and family, experiences that you've had at different sporting events. So yeah, that's unique, and I think that's unique, especially in the day and age that we live in.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us to our next question in this little interview is, what is the why behind Bucks County baseball?
Well, the why for me and my dad is that we're sports fans, first and foremost, right? So
Hmm.
we are. This is the business that my dad has said numerous times, and I know my accountant sort of cringes at it. He says, I don't care if I get paid,
Yeah.
right? And so we do it out of a passion, uh, also recognizing the fact that it's a business that you need to grow, right? You need to be able to continue to look and find new revenue streams.
Hmm.
You need to figure out ways to be more profitable, just like any business. But it's unique in the sense that it comes from a deep-rooted passion for sports and a history that we've had in this industry. So that really is our why.
Yeah.
I'd also say that one of the priorities that we had in day one of starting this business was to figure out ways to give back to the community and to
Yeah.
figure out ways to be part of the community. And so we've, through many different partnerships that we've had with nonprofits, we've been able to raise money for a great cause and also help market our business. And so
Absolutely.
it helps sometimes when you have that sort of philanthropic sort of mindset that we're going to help the community, and in turn try to help ourselves with promoting the business.
That's huge. I've seen many instances where you've been at a lot of the charity events that we attend, and you're able to give back to that community in a great way. And yes, you're right. It's a great way to also market your business and find ways where you can hit two birds with one stone, right? Invest in the community, but also market your business so that the community has an opportunity to support you after the events.
Yeah, look, the one challenge I have as a business is that when we talk about location, right?
Hmm.
My retail store is in Bristol, PA, which again is only 25 minutes down 95 from Philadelphia,
Yeah.
over the bridge, the Burlington Bristol Bridge from South Jersey. So it is in a good location from that regard, but it's not in downtown Philadelphia.
But I
And so
think that's okay.
it's okay, but it's a small
Yeah.
town. And
Yeah.
Bristol as a whole, our business district is growing, but my store needs to be a destination. It's not going to be a place that you just happen to be in Bristol and you randomly pop in like you would if you were in Center City in
Yeah.
Philadelphia. So we've had to always sort of be creative in figuring out ways to drive people into the store. And so one of the ways we've done that is through helping out with nonprofits, helping out with charity events. So we will come in and partner with anything from a grassroots beef and beer to a full on gala or a golf outing.
Absolutely. JP, to close us out here, this series that we started was all about trying to inspire future entrepreneurs to go and chase their dream. What is one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's thinking about starting their own startup?
Well, I think that you have to, if you're going to start your own business, because I think a lot of people, you say that the grass is always greener on the other side, right? And they say, well, I want to be my own boss.
Hmm.
I want to make my own hours, right? They see all these benefits that you have when you own a business.
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge I have, especially with some of the college students that I work with now, is they don't see the other side of it. They don't see the all-nighters. They don't recognize or realize that when you start a business, everyone's your boss,
Yeah. And it's
right?
not a
Every
9 to 5
customer, yeah,
anymore.
right. Yes, you control some things and the direction of your business, but you've got to recognize that the hard work has to come first.
Hmm.
The countless hours, the countless nights, right, where you're just you're fighting every day
Yeah.
for that next inch and that next opportunity, and it gets easier as you sort of move along.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just tell entrepreneurs, I said, first and foremost, if you want to start your own business, I think it's incredible, but you've got to believe in the value of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've got to truly believe that what you're doing helps people in some way, whether it be, again, real estate, insurance,
Yeah.
professional services, or selling vintage Eagles jerseys and collectibles. You've got to believe in that value, because that's what's going to continue to drive you through those difficult times, because
Yeah.
you're always going to have them. And the goal there, and I don't even know that there is a finish line. Like, everybody thinks, well, I just got to race to the finish line. Well, just when you think you're at the finish line, the new race starts.
Yeah.
So
More like it's a checkpoint. It's
yeah, it's
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
exactly a finish line. There is no finish line.
right.
But also, I think to another point that you bring up, if you're thinking about starting a business, you definitely need to figure out how does this help people and know. And if that is something that is just short term, you might be in trouble. Like you have a business, you and your father have built a business where you help people keep memories alive, and that will never die. There will always be a need for new memories or bringing life to old memories. So if you are thinking about starting up a business today, make sure you're not just solving a problem today, because you may not make it 20 years like Bucks County baseball has. You're going to be cut short. So this is a marathon. This is not a race. It's not a short-term race, right? This is a marathon. So you need to make sure that the need that you are going to be fulfilling, how the solution that you are providing, is a long-term solution for clients.
Completely agree.
Well, JP, thanks so much for being on today. This was a really good episode. It was really fun to hear your story, and I understand now all the passion and what's behind that passion for your business. And it's a really good to hear. And I hope everybody enjoyed the episode today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, John.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I'll see you soon.
Got it. Bye-bye.